Morning. Today is Tuesday, November 18th, 2025. Present with us is the Prickly Pear Land Trust and Mary, and I'm sorry, your name?
Nate
Nate.
Camp.
Thank you. And I'll just take it from there. So whoever wants to start, I guess it'll be with you, Mary.
Yeah. So I thought I would just start. This was Prickly Pear's, just to kind of give you like an overview, but this was Prickly Pear's 30th year. So we've been celebrating kind of anniversary stuff all year. In 1996, we started, or 1995, at the end of 95, with the purchase essentially of Mount Ascension in the South Hills. And it was the front side of Mount Ascension, not obviously the Jeffco side. But we, over the course of 30 years, have really amassed dozens and dozens of parcels that have pieced together kind of a public land estate that makes up the South Hills Trail System, which of course is about 40% owned by the city of Helena and 60% owned by the Forest Service. And on that, there's 90 miles of trails that those trails are really becoming more and more of a draw and kind of an economic driver, I think, certainly in the Helena area. And as you're seeing in northern Jefferson County too, some of the drive there too, for more access, or how do we get to the trails from this street, or, that kind of stuff. We didn't start our conservation easement program until later on, about 15 or so years ago. We started working with ranchers in the area that had critical lands that were either like adjacent to other public land or other protected properties. We try to prioritize properties that have riverine qualities. So anything with water is a really good thing to protect. And we look at things like wildlife corridors, and right in this area, obviously there's a lot of corridor activity in Jefferson County, with its adjacency to the greater Yellowstone ecosystem, and then on the north end of Lewis and Clark County, obviously the Bob Mercer Wilderness Complex. And so for our wide-ranging species, we really try and look at, and the elkhorns are obviously a big, huge area that have the potential to host and do host wide-ranging species. And so how we help animals connect basically from the south in Jefferson County to the Continental Divide is really sort of the key. I think you guys are familiar with this, but I'll just mention it because I think it's cool. And if there's ever an opportunity in Jefferson County, and there might be, but we have a partnership with the Department of Defense through the Montana Army National Guard that is, they partner with us to do land protection around Fort Harrison and at the Limestone Hills. And that is where some of the conservation easement dollars that we've done along the Missouri River or on that north side of the Elkhorns, that's where those dollars have come from. And that's been wildly successful lately. We've done most of the land along the Missouri River, with the exception of one or two properties that we're really hoping we can work on. But a lot of the land near Townsend, Toston, kind of to the Highway 12 bridge, I guess, on the Missouri River is kind of, generally speaking, where we focused a lot of our work. And then obviously into the Elkhorns. And we closed on our largest easement out there this last fall. How big was Effie land?
Is it the 2,300? Is that right?
No, it's more like, anyways, big, huge inholding on the backside of the Limestone Hills, couple thousand acres. And that inholding really pieced together a much larger swath of public land that hosts, well, that's where the elk herds hang out, on that side of the mountains. So that program's been really awesome. And if there's ever a way that we can find to bring more dollars to Jefferson County through that, we absolutely will. In the past, we have spoken with this commission about considering open space bonds, and I don't know what the appetite is for that, but certainly in thinking about the demand for land use or the demand for development going through the roof and the pressures from the Bozeman area being so intense. I certainly think that there's a lot of potential for conservation easements if we can find some funding sources to work with. There are some funding sources on the private side, so there are big foundations that'll fund some of this work, but that's not really enough to do a blanket approach at, say, I mean, obviously the South Boulder is the place where conservation easements could do so much for the county in terms of holding together that really critical piece of big swath of agriculture down the South Boulder. With just 4 or 5 large ranches. In the event of the loss of even just one of those ranches to subdivision, it would cause immense, I mean, think about some of the issues we're dealing with, like around Eddie McClure, for example. Those are the issues that we would have just to an exponential degree if we lose one of those big ranches in the South Boulder. So we're certainly talking with those ranch families and thinking about that, but I just wanted you all to kind of be aware of it and let me know if, you know, you have thoughts or, you know, definitely the public funding piece of an open space bond for Jefferson County at some point. It might be worth thinking about that as those development pressures continue to just build and mount. Certainly some of the rural subdivisions that you are already dealing with, I'm sure, you know, might be what could help people support something like that. They've obviously seen the negative impacts to that too. So, anyways, it's just something that Prickly Pear has been thinking a lot about. We have a pretty robust lands team that only does acquisitions and conservation easements. We'd prefer conservation easements if we could do them all day long, it would be great, but that doesn't always work for, you know, the urban areas where we are, or if there isn't an economy of scale of ranchers that can buy land, which of course is getting harder and harder for them to do because we're not talking about ag rates anymore. We're dealing in development values, which is so that's sometimes where the land trust can come in with a funding partner and work with a ranching. Say you have a really good ranching family and a piece of ground that's for sale next to them. Sometimes the land trust can come in with some of that delta between the development value and the ag value to help that ranch family get into the property and keep it protected. And when we do that in exchange for a conservation easement over the whole place. Anyways, I just wanted to talk about that just as an overview. Obviously, that's not necessarily anything that's like burning, but it's something we're thinking a lot about. And I just wanted you all to know that's kind of on our minds.
Got a question for you. It's
Yeah.
sort of off topic, but I watched Broadwater's Parks, Trails, Recreation one night because the commissioner talked to me and wanted to know what they could do. And your name, of course, PPLT came up. The gentleman spoke about it, but he has no idea that Jeff County is even involved with trails or anything or associated with PPLT until that commissioner told them that I had told them. So I guess my question is there a lack in communications? Not so much you guys, but do they not stay on the program, so to speak, to find out?
Was that Broadwater County?
Yes.
So I can speak a little bit to that. I had a couple meetings with a couple of, I think they have a citizen-led initiative attempting to kind of do a trails plan for the entirety of Broadwater County. And so I had a couple of conversations. I think it was Al Christopherson was the gentleman that I was speaking with. And I think they must have had a meeting. Was it last week or yesterday?
About a month or whenever we have NACO.
Yeah, it was
September or somewhere.
Okay. Yeah. And so I had a couple meetings with him just to kind of bounce ideas to see if I could give him a little bit of insight into it. But I guess I'm sure I mentioned, you know, we've done so much work. I mean, I think I've talked about the Rattlesnake Butte project, the stuff that we're doing over on the Ash Grove piece, connecting East Helena to Montana City. So probably just an oversight that they didn't connect the dots with the Jeffco connection, because obviously
It's the work in the other reason is that in in Broadwater County, the work has mostly just been private land conservation easements.
Oh.
So we've only worked with private ranchers, and that's a one-on-one conversation with them that doesn't always, I mean, more often than not, the county doesn't even really know about it, but they have a new commissioner that was really keen on trails. And so that was where Nate came in. When we start to engage with the community on trails, that's when like everybody starts to hear about it, good, bad, or otherwise, as you know. But so I think that's the difference in Broadwater County. We started there with easements and now they're like, oh, you guys can do trails and parks too? Cool, let's talk about that. So
Okay. That answers my question.
yeah.
Thanks.
Yep. So, at this point, we have a little over 30,000 acres of conservation easements. And again, those are cherry picked like spots that are really valuable wildlife, water, or adjacent to public land parcels. Everything in the South Boulder would qualify as that, obviously, actually, it would hit all three of those boxes. So that's another reason why we're thinking about the South Boulder quite a bit right now. We, at this point, the land trust has 17 staff, and those staff are divvied into lands, trails and parks, and operations, essentially. But certainly trails and parks, you know, if there's more thoughts on things or ways that the land trust can work more with Jeffco in that arena too. Obviously, we're thinking a lot about that on the north end and actively acquiring parcels with the intent to give that land to the county for that purpose. But we could certainly look at doing that in other places too, and would be open to that. But I just kind of wanted to start with an overview because it's our 30th anniversary and I've been thinking a lot about it. And there's a lot that we do and can do and would love to work with the county on. So, but I guess in terms of Rattlesnake Butte, so we've acquired that parcel and, you know, continue to see a lot of opportunity for how we would connect in. Craig and I have chatted quite a bit, just how we would connect in with some of the adjacent county land, which is, I think, the dump site.
It's,
The dump site.
yeah, it's between the dump and the interstate.
Yeah. So that parcel obviously under the interstate kind of abuts the land that we acquired. And Craig and I talked a little bit about it, but it sounds like, and would love to hear your thoughts on how you think this could go, but we're happy to help develop the access to the creek or develop trails on it. Might be easier for us to do that than for the county on the back end. So we could certainly look at writing that into our trail plan for 2026 and then donating it to the county thereafter. Things like fencing and weeds, you know, we can help with some of that too. But that parcel is situated such that there's kind of a corner crossing, if you will, issue there. But Craig and I talked about seeing if maybe we could get a trail easement on this private land. I'm gonna orient myself here for just a minute.
Which is right here.
Oh yeah, right here, right? This,
Yep.
yeah. So the low-lying land under the interstate bridge is right here, and that's private. And then the county land is pretty much on the steep, really, really steep section. Although there's some land down here that we could get, and we could figure that out, but it would just be a lot easier if that person would be willing to maybe do an easement right here. And it, like I said, if they're not, that's not a
Cause it's
End game.
it's highway right away through here for the interstate, correct?
right. Right. And if PPLT had an easement on this person's property,
Right,
then we could build
just down
something
to the
there.
county
Mhm.
piece.
Down to the county right away. Yeah.
And then that really, like you and I talked about, Mary, that connects that whole thing kind of
Yeah,
to the paved trail that goes up McClellan Creek,
Yep.
to the trail that goes to the school. There's a parking area there next to the transfer station.
Yeah, and the hope is when we are able to, we're getting closer to securing a trail easement with Ash Grove, which would then connect the new parks that we built by the slag pile in East Helena. Once we secure that trail easement with Ash Grove, we can then connect those two communities together. And then it would feed directly into kind of this little network in Montana City.
I guess that's kind of what my thoughts were. So you guys know what Mary and I kind of talked about is these guys and their staff are the experts in this. And I think it would be easier for you guys to do something with this. But I don't see any issues with using this county property to get through there if we can get to that point.
Yeah. That's, if we can get to that county land and like Nate said, to the paved trail, and then we're almost to the school. The school is a direct connection, and I'm sorry I didn't bring a bigger map, but where the school sits and then Highway 518, is right there. The crossing on Highway 518, the pedestrian crossing that's lighted, the property on the other side of that is the one that we got an easement last year on. So we have a trail easement to build a connection to the lighted crosswalk that gets to the school, which is much safer than the original plan. I don't know why the engineers did this, but when they originally engineered the trail map, and this is back in like 2017 or 18, they did an original trail map for the connection from East Helena to Montana City that went along the basically along the railroad corridor, kind of parallel to 518, and then it connected in with the trail across from Ash Grove, but then it dumped out right at the sharp curve on Highway 518. And Nate said, I will not build a trail into the sharp curve. Someone will die. Like, we're not going to do that. So we knew right away we needed to figure something better. And the creek sitting right next to the railroad is a real challenge in there. It's really, really tight. And so it looks like the trail with Ash Grove is going to likely be, just a little bit up the hill from the railroad. And then it'll connect in around the back with the Bessler property, which is right across. Do you know the Besslers?
I used to, yeah, I went to school with them
Yeah.
way back in the day.
Yeah. So Paul are the ones that donated on their 30 acres, the trail easement. So that's kind of the vision, but this got really exciting when we started to realize like, oh, it could kind of tie in and give people some safe, like walking and creek access down in an area that doesn't really otherwise have developed access. So,
yeah, we found in recent years with our acquisitions that we've done that we've subsequently donated to, mostly the city of Helena, but we've had a couple to the Forest Service as well. But us being able to hold on to it for a little bit allows us to kind of get in there and do some of the basics on the front end that might make it more attractive and easier for group like the county to take on at a later point in time. I think with this property, with the creek access, I mean, we'll be able to kind of fold it into a little bit of our land management program, do a little weed treatment here in the spring, and then have whether it's conversations with you all or with the Parks Board, have some conversations about how do we want this to interface with the existing county piece at Rattlesnake Butte. I know there was some concern about access off of the, Stony Brook side, and then what's going to happen with the road. I mean, there's obviously some really nice flat spots down in here that I think would be really, attractive picnic spots for families. But if you add a picnic table, sometimes that can be a nuisance issue as well for, the community. And I think we're in a position we can sit down with whatever group wants to think through those things and kind of do some of those, solve some of those problems on the front end before we, hand it off to you guys.
and I guess hear a little bit more too about what the county wants or doesn't want. Yeah, what Nate said, building that out in the way that's going to work for the county is kind of the key thing. And then the other important part in a community that's gonna use it, for trails and recreation is just to have really good signage. And so we could help with that too. If the community knows what's happening and knows how to use a parcel, they're 99% of them are gonna follow those rules. And so it's just, as a best practice, good to say, put a sign out there. In such and such year, Prickly Pear Land Trust acquired this property for the citizens of Jefferson County. In coordination with the county, has built out the whatever, and, e-bikes, dogs, whatever the rules are, put it all out there, and it just will go a lot better. Than if you don't put anything out, and you kind of end up dealing with the whole
Yep.
gamut,
Everybody doing
whatever they want. Yeah.
Which I think there's signage that's gonna go on Rattlesnake Butte too.
Oh, good. We could
For
certainly coordinate with
Parking
that.
areas, which will be on the north end of that.
Great.
What the rules are basically, and those signs are designed. I don't think they're done, but they have been designed.
Use plan, I think. that
Yep.
the-
They actually, I think they ordered them, they did order
Did
them,
they?
yes.
Oh, did they?
Yes.
Do you want to will you send those to us? Just so we
Yeah.
can see the language and signage, and then anything, we'll try and be as consistent as we can
Absolutely.
on whatever we
I'll
put it.
have Brett send it to you.
Okay,
I
Yeah.
think the use plan has all that in there.
It does, it does.
We can just send you the
Oh, yeah,
whole,
we
the
can do
whole
that.
use plan.
Okay.
for-
great,
That they came up with.
It's pretty much ready to go, just working with you guys now, so.
great. So do you think it would make sense for us to meet with the Parks Board to get specific about what the Parks Board might
would.
want to see on that
I would.
parcel? Okay,
Probably a good idea.
okay. Yeah, we can do that. We could even do a walk and talk too sometime if
Okay.
the weather holds out for
Whatever
us.
you wanna do it, they meet the third Monday every month, or fourth Monday, excuse me.
Do they ever meet on the north end? Would
No,
it make
but I'm
sense to
sure they
meet
could
there?
probably set something up
Okay,
for you guys,
okay,
if you wanna get on the agenda, maybe the next month, or wait, they don't do December, so it'll be January.
yeah,
if
that
that's
would be
with you.
good.
I'll tell
Um,
Brett tonight.
Yeah, I spoke with Brett, shortly after we closed on this.
Mhm.
And so just gave him a general update, and he said, yeah, he'd reach out to set something up.
For sure, I let him know that one of you will be getting hold of him, since you've had contact with him, that's why I asked.
Yeah, I can, mention it to Brett, and I'll follow up with him.
Okay, I'll tell him tonight.
Yeah, I'll follow up with him later this week then.
Okay,
Yeah.
appreciate it, thanks.
And then as soon as we get done building out whatever we're gonna build out, we would just donate it to the county then, pretty soon thereafter. Might be cool to do like a little ribbon cutting or something like that invite the community in. Usually we do that when we have a park or
Okay.
anything like that, but it's nice to give people an opportunity to ask questions or, thank the county for doing it, or PPLT, thoughts on this or that or the other
It's a joint
thing.
effort, so, in my opinion, so,
What's that?
it's a joint effort, in my opinion. so
Totally.
Give credit where due.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think it'd be wonderful. And that's just sort of part of our typical modus operandi when we acquire something like this. So we'd be happy to handle all
So
of
with
that.
you guys talking about that, do you ever, and I know Commissioner, in this case, Greg is with Elkhorn Working Group. Do they have an idea what's going on with you guys?
We have a staff member who attends
Okay,
some of the meetings pretty
Okay.
regularly. Yep, and has been for years.
Yeah, it's our lands
Yeah.
director, Travis Vincent. He attends,
I think I met Travis here.
he probably have. He's met a lot of people.
Yeah. Yeah, he's been around a long time and has been going to those meetings for, gosh, at least 6.
He's one that works on the land aspect of it.
Yeah.
Yep, I've been.
Yeah, he's been at the last ones I've been to, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll work with the Parks Board on the plan for that, and then we'll plan on maybe building that out in 26 and
Okay.
donating it maybe next summer or fall,
Okay.
generally speaking. Okay,
Oh, that sounds good.
Yeah.
great. I have to bring up Eddie because I just good, bad, or otherwise. So the letter went out from the county
The
and
original one, we got a response, and then there was supposed to be another one, and you and I talked about that, and I know that Steve just got back, so I will talk to him today over lunch and see where the new one's at, if it's been sent.
okay. I did hear that that final parcel sold, so the one where the fence is gonna be moved, that piece just sold. And I know who bought it, so I'm intending to reach out to them just to tell them like that fence is gonna move, just FYI. Like, just to kind of keep, like, smooth
Okay.
things a little bit over so they're not like, what?
Well,
Someday.
I know we've talked about it, but it would be nice to get that trailhead back down where, closer to where it was
Yeah,
than where it is. Cause we put up the no parking signs, somebody cut them down, and then they cut them down and then they were gone the next day, so.
yeah. And I told you I would look, we had a camera out there at one point, but it's no longer out there. And even when it was pointing towards the trail, because that's where we were having
Yeah.
issues. So
Yeah.
it wasn't pointing probably in the direction that would have caught that anyway, so I'm sorry we couldn't be helpful on that, but
Nope, we're trying to figure out a new plan for that, so
yeah,
the trailhead being moved would be
would be huge.
the best way to deal.
Well, I
with it.
know I'd be happy anytime anyone wants to go out there. I'm pretty confident. I mean, I think you guys created that little kind of pull out parking down at the bottom.
Coral side,
Yeah, earlier
Just
this
on the
year.
one side, yeah.
I'm pretty confident, I mean, within the right of way, you know, where their driveway kind of picks off to the, I guess, the west there, that is a public access, but even right off the edge of that driveway where that was the original access when it was a trail and not a driveway. But I'm pretty confident you could build a walking trail within the right of way from that point all the way up to where the trail access is Martinez currently. You close off that access that's further up, and then you'd have folks that would park in the new pullout that's down at the bottom. They'd walk across the street and then hop on the trail there and then go up, and that would keep them off the trail for whatever that, 800 feet, 1,000 feet, or whatever that is. At
Off
that
the
point,
trail, off the road.
be off the
On
road, excuse me, yeah.
On the trail.
Yeah,
Yeah,
off
we
the
went over
road,
the trail.
on the trail. It would be a pretty easy, I think, build out. That's something we could certainly organize and help with if that's something the county was interested in. Pretty sure, like I said, everything could be done within the county right of way. And so to eliminate a little bit of that, some headache from folks going up the trail, and maybe some of the perception of the vehicular traffic being an issue. People are parking at the bottom, they're no longer impacting.
They don't want anything to do, people don't want to park up there
No.
because it's not great parking.
narrow.
But-
and-
Yeah, so if we just moved, and this, you all know this, but that is where we originally proposed that the trail go. But at the time, Dowling was not,
You could care less.
yeah, was not willing to give us that route. And so it's kind of like serendipitous that like, here we are back in the place where we kind of knew we always would be, but we weren't willing, if we wouldn't have gone with what he gave us, which of course we didn't have any wiggle room on that, then we wouldn't have had the access. So we had to go with what we could get at the time. But certainly for all the issues in that area that really are just unnecessary, this we think would be the best way to just resolve it all. Move that fence to the property line, build the trail in the right of way that connects in, that keeps people from having to walk up the road. So we'd love to do that anytime, and we could, that too could be built into our 2026 trail plan. We could do that pretty easily. So it might be that we get that letter sent, move the fence, and then plan on in the spring building the connection from the bottom where the parking will be.
Well, if the property sold, the letter's gonna be fruitless, cause it would go to Dowling, right?
Right, and that's what I didn't know that till just now, so
I
I
just heard
will
this.
talk to Steve about that and see.
So
Yeah.
if you have communications with these people, if they're willing to move the fence, either the county or you guys move the fence, then we don't have to even get Dowling in the mix.
That's a good point. I hadn't thought about that, Corey, of course. Yeah, so now we'll be dealing with the new owners. And literally like just 2 days ago, somebody told me about
Hmm.
that, so. And I think they'll be really friendly. So the new owners, Brett and Morgan?
Yeah.
Brett and Morgan
Okay,
in the
yeah.
middle, and then Chelsea.
Chelsea on there.
So those are the three landowners that are affected
Yeah.
by it, and at least two of the three are very, I mean, I think Brett's from Marin County, she's coming around. To like just how things work, but I think more or less, all three of them by the end of the day will understand that this is the best outcome for everybody. But certainly 2 out of the 3, I think will support it wholeheartedly, just whatever.
I
But
know that Chelsea does. I met her up there and we
Yeah.
kind of looked at it and.
I think Brett's on board with whatever. She's the one that told me about the signs being cut down.
Who?
So.
Brett,
Oh,
yeah. Yeah,
When did the signs go? How long between them going up and them getting cut down?
Couple weeks, maybe.
yeah, maybe a couple weeks.
That's so
I don't
frustrating.
even think it was that long.
Maybe not, maybe a week, yeah, it wasn't very long. So we're at our next ROTA meeting, we're gonna discuss strategy on that, if we put them back up with a camera or what we're gonna do.
Yeah.
But
I don't know how expensive those are, so I don't know if this makes sense, but if we have a new landowner that's gonna be amenable, maybe we just like send communications out to everybody that like, this is what's gonna happen, and here's where you should park, and see what happens with if we move the trailhead, nobody's gonna wanna park beyond where the signs were anyways,
right,
so. I don't know.
yeah, we
I
can
just
just
hate
wait and see,
for
and see
that.
what happens, if we can get the parking down below and get the trailhead moved down, then there shouldn't be a problem with it, but. And if it does become a problem, then we can put the signs back up and with camera. And if they're gonna
Yeah.
cut them right down, we'll hopefully figure out who it is.
With talking about, new trail construction like that, just the short segment to reach from where the parking is now up to the existing trail, would that be a conversation that I should have with Brett and the Parks Board as well, or is that a separate conversation with you guys?
Probably with them to start with, I would say,
Okay,
at least to get that ball rolling and go from there, yeah.
okay. I'll mention that to Brett. when
Yeah,
I
just
chat
keep
with him.
everybody in the loop. yeah.
Okay.
And weren't the property owners, on that side? Didn't you say it was almost like we could get access through there, Craig? Weren't you kind of working on that on the same side as the trail itself? Instead of diving
That
over, you're
was-
talking about jumping over the road and going up, right?
No,
No.
not with the trail. The trail will be on the same side of the road.
It'll basically, Corey, be where it was before,
Okay.
Yeah.
like,
Along the edge of the,
Yeah.
okay, right away there,
yeah,
and
Yeah, on the
it's
west
Chelsea that I
side.
talked to about that.
okay.
it'll just be like, right within, well, basically where that fence goes, it's just kind of like cut right in there, and then
Through there.
down the gully and then
Okay.
up, yeah,
Okay.
so.
Basically where it was.
Where it was before, yeah.
Yeah, a
Yeah.
little bit lower, but yeah, essentially, I'm getting sick of rebuilding the same trail, but I'll do it one more time, but.
It's done a lot of trails and fences up there, but
When we originally got the trail easement, we built the fence out, separates the trail from the upper end of the private property up there, but we were just up there a week or two ago repairing that fence too, so hopefully being good neighbors.
yeah, now that there's a new owner, I hadn't thought about the fact that we don't have to deal with doweling anymore, so that helps smooth things out a little bit, just in terms of being able to maybe move more quickly, because these guys aren't gonna sue you.
Right.
threaten.
Yeah, they shouldn't.
Yeah. Okay, well, I'll chat with the new owner and see how they feel about things, and I'll report back. And let you know, I think, I don't know if that's, sure, I can just tell you who it is, but, Bridget Crowley is who it is. She's a doctor at the hospital.
Okay.
Yeah.
She's probably aware of the trails there, so she's, I'm
You know,
assuming.
She's a huge fan of prickly pear, and so I would assume that they bought that land because the trail is there. All 3 of those landowners, are very like, they're big trail
Yeah.
users, so
No, that's good.
that's kind of originally what we assumed, so yeah, it's probably better now that it's transferred. So I'll report back on that. And that might save the county from having to put up
Yeah.
parking sign in.
That'd be good.
This is a minor thing, but this year, the Don't Fence Me In, we have this big trail race in the spring. And this year it saw about 1,500 runners. We do a longer course, and is it just the 50K that we're looking at? So we do a 50K course that last year had 100 runners, maybe it would have 150 this year, I don't know, however many would sign up for that. But this year we're looking at running that through Eddie McClure, and so that would just be runners going from Limes or South Hills, like from town, sorry, not South Hills, Lime Kiln. And then they would turn right on Martinez, and then they'd go up to,
Basically Lime Kiln,
just get on the
South
trail.
Hills, Eddie McClure.
and so there'd be a Saturday morning where it would be like runners on the road kind of situation for a couple of hours. Do you have like a process for how
Yeah,
these
our
would
events,
work?
our events coordinator, Bruce Binkowski, get a hold of him, he does.
Oh, I know
all those
Bruce.
Events all the time, he can guide you through that process.
Okay.
I think it's as simple as just getting something from Bear or the road. I don't know if you're gonna close the road or just.
Just sign
part
it,
of
it's
or
probably
whatever,
fine.
Yeah, so.
We'd have course guards out there,
Okay.
you know, helping with traffic or whatever.
Yeah, that should be pretty low impact, so just get a hold of Bruce and he can walk you through. that.
Okay,
I'll tell him you'll be calling him, he'll be here tonight too.
okay. And then you know that Martinka, that conservation easement closed. I just wanted to mention that. That's the only other
So
kind
that's
of,
done.
that's, the conservation easement is done. I did go up there, Craig, with regards to the conversation you and I had with the roads. And somebody else just told me the other day about the road situation. Oh, it was one of the neighbors on Holmes that's pretty far up, close to where it forks now. Was just saying like the road situation up there is kind of tough, but
We've had that discussion numerous times.
oh God, I mean, to the extent
Large
like,
meeting here not too long ago.
yeah,
Family transfers up there, so we didn't have any control of the road, it is what it is.
yeah,
Yeah, we couldn't put in any road standards or anything. And it's basically an unmaintained county road that we try to do something with. So, because the actual Holmes Gulch is that road that goes through Martinka's property.
mhm,
That's the actual county road.
mhm.
So,
Well, and you and I talked, and he's certainly interested in removing that right of way, or, you know, I don't know what you would do. But you said that there's somebody on the Tucker Gulch side.
there's some people that live up
drives.
there. They live in Jefferson County, but they come down that road to take their kids to school.
Even though they don't have an easement on Tucker to use it.
According to what I've been told, they have an easement to come down through,
Oh,
through there.
on Tucker. Cause yeah, that Tucker is private
It's all
right
private,
there.
yeah.
So that's the other, I just see that as being a growing headache for Martinka, for that landowner to deal with. Probably more and more people over the years are gonna want to cut through there.
Well, there's nowhere to go because the other side's private. That's part of the,
Mhm.
That's right. That's why it'd be nice if there ever is an opportunity to remove that from the roadmap. So that more people aren't encouraged to try and go through there into the private section of road, I mean? Do you see what I'm seeing?
I think
Like,
the Schmaus development up there all has easements up through there for egress.
that's their egress out.
Mm.
in a- in
they
a-
have easements on Tucker?
I believe they have easements all the way through, you know, obviously the county road, you don't need an easement from the Lewis and Clark County side down. I believe they have easement.
That's their,
To get there.
that's their egress in a fire or
I
an
would
emergency.
be curious to see that.
I
I
think
should
it was
look at
a
their
judge
trail.
court ordered thing,
Mm.
but I could be wrong, but that's my understanding is those folks have the right to go over the top there if there's a situation, so. I mean, that doesn't mean we couldn't take away the county road designation. It would Still
Designation.
have to be an easement through there somehow.
It would just get really ugly, which, I mean, it would just not be maintained. Which
So it's not maintained
It's
now.
not maintained now.
it's not maintained at all.
No,
It's a 2-track.
it's a wagon track.
Yeah. I did drive up there the other day and it is pretty bad, but, well, maybe just by the nature of it not being maintained, it'll keep people somewhat
It's not a
off
good
of it.
road
Yeah,
up there.
And
No.
a lot of people go up there because it just goes into that lady's corrals and gets really narrow there, then it stops, then there's nothing after that, it's
Right.
private property, it's
Yeah.
off.
yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, yeah, it's not a, you know, not a big deal right now. I just thought I would mention it as something that came up when we worked with Steve to do that easement. We'd love to work with Tim Bompart too at some point, but I don't know. I don't know if he still has it listed. Do you know?
I have not seen it listed, but what I noticed is it goes on the market and then it comes off.
Yeah, it was on the market
Yeah.
not too long ago, right?
Yeah, I'm not too sure it
But it-
still is, but I haven't looked recently, so.
Should look and see if it's sold. I can't imagine we would have heard about it by now, but I'll look and see. Yeah, well, no, I don't think it has because somebody just told me that he gave them hunting access on it.
Could be.
So. I said, well, if he gave you hunting access, you should just try and buy it and we'll work with you. That might be an easy way to solve that. Well, that's kind of all I had for you guys, but if there's anything else in particular you wanna talk about or want me to comment on, I'm happy to, but
We've got people lined up for our next meetings
Okay.
here, so unless there's
You can hang
anything.
out, you don't wanna talk to him.
okay.
Yeah, they got the seats all warmed up. here.
The only ones that wanna talk to us.
Yeah.
See, I'm never on time. See,
Yeah.
I'm here.
You're way early.
Yeah.
Well, we're excited about the Rattlesnake Butte stuff. That's gonna be
Yeah.
awesome. Montana
be-
City's gonna love it.
I think that'll be a big asset to
Yeah.
that whole park area.
Yeah. Well, and you know, keep us in mind, there is a foundation that'll support land acquisitions like that. If they have public access. So it could be an in-holding, it could be a new trail connection somewhere, it could be like a little park. We've always hoped for like a Boulder River Park. So if you ever see an opportunity for something like that, we could apply for funding from that foundation for
Okay.
those kinds of properties, but yeah. So,
Great.
well, thanks you guys.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Good to see you.
Appreciate you coming over.
Yeah, totally.